So, what are webhooks? Webhooks fundamentally change how your applications communicate by enabling real-time data flow between systems. Unlike traditional HTTP requests, where you must actively request information, webhooks push data to you the moment something happens. Let me explain. But before I do that, this is a webhook node on anything. It's a trigger node. Webhooks versus HTTP requests, the communication models. A webhook is like a doorbell. The app rings your bell when there's news, payment processed, or form submitted. You create a URL endpoint that waits for notifications. It doesn't request, it waits for notifications. The app initiates the communication, which is push. On the other hand, HTTP requests is like a phone call. You pick up the phone and call the app to ask for information. You must initiate requests on a schedule or manually. If you do not request, you won't receive data. However, you don't need to request to receive data with webhooks. So the HTTP request, you control when to request data, pull. Key difference with webhooks, data flows to you automatically and instantly when events occur, eliminating the need for constant checking. Technical reality, both use HTTP under the hood, but webhooks reverse the initiation pattern, making your application the receiver rather than the requester. How webhooks work, the technical flow. Step one would be you create a webhook URL. You generate a unique URL endpoint in your application, like Anytend's webhook trigger node that I just showed you, that will receive incoming data. Step two would be registering that same URL that you just generated with the source app. The source app being the app you want to receive data or information from. Let's say I want to receive data from Slack every time a client sends a message to a certain channel. This is where step number three comes into play, where once an event occurs, data is automatically sent. Step number four would be process and respond. Your application processes the incoming data and returns a 200 OK response to acknowledge receipt. Let me show you now a real world webhook example so that you can fully understand the concept. Stripe payment processing. When a customer completes payment, Stripe immediately sends payment details, customer info, amount, invoice data to your webhook. Your workflow can then verify the signature, update database, send notifications, and email receipt. This is automating a big chunk of the tasks or the work that you need to do every time someone sends a payment. So, this is how we use webhooks in AI automations. A second example would be form submissions. When a visitor completes your website form, the form tool posts all answers to your webhook instantly. Your workflow can then validate entries, add to CRM or database, notify sales team. This is a small example of how you can automate a full onboarding process with AI using webhook triggers. Key benefits of webhooks: instant processing, real time data flow without polling or scheduling, simplified integration, standardized JSON payloads with event data, reliability. Most services implement retry logic if your endpoint fails, efficiency, reduced load on both systems by eliminating constant checking. This is the power of webhooks. And I think you already understood the difference between webhooks and HTTP requests. So, with that being said, thank you for watching this video and see you on the next one.